Record. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Eli Santelman, and today I am going to be talking about discipline and families and everything that goes into that because, believe it or not, there's a lot of research behind this. So, when I talk about this, what is discipline in family life? So, discipline in family life is multifaceted concept. There's a lot of things that influence behavior, emotions, and relationships. And the way parents discipline their children has long-term impacts on emotional health, moral development, and family harmony, which we'll get into later. And then in this presentation, I'll go over a lot of different perspectives from child development to ethical considerations and family power dynamics. So, parental discipline and emotional well-being. It has been found that, well, just start off talking about the graph. So, over time, this is in the UK. There wasn't any I could find about America that it's shown that these discipline, more harsh side things are going down over time. This has been because of laws and ethical considerations with children who were beaten as children, realizing that it probably wasn't the best thing for them. So then once they started having kids, they stopped doing those practices. And they have found through research that harsh discipline is connected to anxiety and depression in children. This correlation shows that maybe harsh discipline is not the best way to go through this. Children of parents who engage in physical punishment or harsh discipline do show those higher levels. And then there's a big emphasis on parents' attitudes. So if a parent is showing abusive or overly harsh attitudes towards this discipline, it can contribute to emotional distress in children. What this can look like is when a child does something wrong that might be out of their control. So let's say a child knocks over a pot that's been in the family for a very long time and it shatters all over the ground. This could be a complete accident, and how the parent responds can reflect on the child either positively or negatively. We could see a parent, when this happens, take a step back and realize it was an accident, it's okay, and forgive the child, but then teach them their actions have consequences by something very small, like taking away their phone or sending them to timeout, whereas the negative response would be physical or harsh, taking it a step too far. So there are different met meditative attribunal styles and disciplines. I'm really sorry about that. And this shows that children from harsh disciplinary backgrounds often develop these uh the maladoptive styles. I am so sorry. I cannot say that word. It is not there for me. And these are children that internalize responsibility, and these lead to feelings of helplessness and lack of control. So, for example, this would be a child, let's go back to the pot where they are blaming others for they're blaming those around them for this pot shattering. And whereas if they're internalizing it, they believe that they are in control of these own actions. So they would have a healthy relationship with making mistakes, which is very important. And this loss of control concept is with children of harsh disciplinaries often feel events of control are out of their things they can't affect. And these lead to negative cognitive effects. So there are emotional costs of discipline. So with this chart, you can see that with high demandingness and high responsiveness, you can be authoritative with clear, consistent boundaries, with open communication, with nurturing and affection, which can be nurturing and affectionate with high expectations. This can work for some people, and then you show on the other side with with low demandingness and low responsiveness, you see an uninvolved parent with no expectations, with little interaction, with uninterest and not being attached. So these emotional and psychological costs are both for parents and children. The phrase "this hurts me more than it hurts you" reflects the emotional discomfort that parents feel when disciplining. Discipline should not only be about enforcing rules, but fostering moral growth and emotional development for both the parent and the child. Discipline should be viewed as something that both sides can walk away feeling that they did the right thing and that both it can lead to growth, especially for the children. So this doesn't happen again, but they also learn a lesson, which is a very fine line to walk. So what's on the screen is the discipline, growth, and ethical responsibility. So this would be a flow chart, which could be something that parents can think about in their head. And this is something that should be running through a parent's head when they're disciplining. And so parents need to balance this emotional discomfort with the necessary discipline to guide their child's development because it's really hard to discipline a loved one. So this should be something that in your mind as a parent, you have to think about, has the problem already begun? Yes. Is it really a problem? Yes. If it's a risk and if it's urgent, if it's a risk of harm, then you need to calmly enforce these consequences and move on. So how you see this, it's just a step-by-step thing in your mind that you can run through to make sure that you are leaving with the best possible outcome with your child. Um, so with family harmony and role clarity, it's very important that in a family, you know who has what role. So in some families, this could be both parents having the responsibility of discipline, or in my case, my dad was the main disciplinary. So I knew if I did something and my mom was talking to me about it and she brought my dad into it, I knew I was probably going to get spankings. And um, you know what parent is delivering what consequence. So clear roles and fairness and family dynamics prevent conflicts and encourage cooperation. So looking back on it, I love my parents, but if they were able to discipline me together and I was able to get both of their outlooks on what I did wrong at the same time, instead of my mom being the more emotional looking at it introspective and my dad being the more warden style type, if they were able to work together and come around me and work on preventing conflicts rather than correcting behavior once problems arise, we would have been a healthier family according to research. So conflict resolution discipline, relationship conflicts in families can be a setting that can disrupt behavior. Managing these conflicts early prevents the need for formal discipline. And if you focus on a communication and fairness to maintain a productive family environment, this just means not letting things going on between parents affect the children, because they are a lot more malleable than adults are and they see what parents are doing. So, Foucault has a bi-power theory that suggests that family is a disciplinary institution. This is just an opinion, and he says that he recommends that parents, especially mothers, should act as agents of control, regulating the children's behavior to align with social norms, and that fathers should be the disciplinarian. This is more the household I grew up in. This is one theory. There are obviously a lot of different ways that people believe that you should discipline a child or what roles look like. This is one. Normalization of behavior is an essential part of discipline in modern families. So just teaching them what is wrong, teaching them right from wrong, and moving on from that. Um, there's also an idea of intimacy as discipline. So getting away more from that hierarchical, I cannot say that word, so sorry. Getting away from families of the traditional role of father is this, mother is this in a nuclear family. The modern family shows intimate emotional bonds, be a form of disciplinary power. So parents being vulnerable with their children and saying like, we're not perfect, what you did was wrong. This is why it's wrong. Teaching those children at a young age instead of just, you can't do that, smack. sitting down with your child and explaining to them and reasoning to them why they're doing what's wrong is really important because children are smart. And yeah, so then emotional regulation is very important in children. So like we talked about earlier with the flow chart of walking through your mind of how to deal with the situation, there's also a regulation checklist that parents should run through in their mind of, am I dealing with my emotions in a right way to reflect on my child? Consistency is super important. Consistency and discipline helps establish clear rules and expectations, reducing confusion and conflict. So emotional regulation is critical for parents, avoiding overreaction and helping maintaining a calm and controlled family environment. So parents should avoid verbosity in their disciplinary responses and instead focus on clear, concise communication. So keeping it consistent with their children so they know what to expect. So both, which going back to the modern family, both mothers and fathers play an essential role in discipline, and both should contribute to establishing consistent expectations. Cooperation between parents ensure a unified front, reducing confusion and power struggles in children. This can help children wonder if one thing is okay with mom and not okay with dad, and vice versa. So children understanding that both parents agree on what is right from wrong when they discipline together. So, if you apply these disciplines in a family life, you should end up with a holistic approach. This is when effective discipline is consistent, fair, and grounded in clear communication. Emotional regulation and parental attitudes play a significant role in the success of disciplinary methods, and discipline should promote intelligent emotional growth, not just correction. Correction, fostering moral development for both parents and children. So, in conclusion, it's complex. Discipline and family dynamics is complex and involves emotional, ethical, and development considerations and something that is ever changing. A balance of fairness, emotional support, and clear communication is essential for effective discipline, and families should strive for discipline methods that foster growth and emotional well-being for all members. Thank you all for listening, and in your reflections, feel free to share your own experiences plus what you might do if you're going to be a future parent. And thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great week.